Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Thursday, the 3rd of July. Now, obviously, it's only a half day today, and obviously it's a holiday tomorrow, so this is effectively, the next couple of hours, is effectively the end of the week. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own chance. I'm now here to issue trading signals. Right, this is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com, and it's published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, great. Okay, let's have a look at ES first. Now, we have been continuing to grind up, and you often get this on a very strong trend up, and this is a very strong trend up at the moment. We got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed. Obviously, the last one failed. This one could fail too, although we're not going fast enough to fail it. We're just continuing to go up, so obviously it's not making target. On NQ, obviously the sell signal made target last week. We are hitting higher highs at the moment. On RTY, I think we just lost. Let me just have a look. We had a third 60-minute sell signal fixed. The last two made target. But this one, I think, I've been watching it carefully, and I think, yeah, it just failed. So we've just lost that third one. We're making good progress to the upside, which I'm delighted to see, because obviously the main bull pattern I was looking at is on RTY and YM. RTY and IWM. So I'm looking for this to continue higher, and looking for that IHS target, which would be a retest of the all-time high there. In terms of YM, we are now very close to, we already made a new all-time highs on SPX, on the Qs. We're very close to making a new all-time high on YM. And obviously we're still some distance away on RTY. DAX and the STX are both looking weak here. We had a 6-minute buy signal fixed yesterday morning on DAX, and that's now reached possible near miss target. Didn't have any signal on ESTX, but both of DAX and STX are trying to break up from these inverted head and shoulder patterns, and haven't done the move up to retest the current highs yet. So waiting to see if they will manage that. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture. All right, SPX. Now, I'm going to do a post today, and I'm going to be talking about the nice-looking ending diagonals here, which have not broken up. We've been grinding up, but we've not been grinding up through resistance. We've been grinding up under resistance. I am concerned, obviously, that we might see a pullback here to wedge resistance, which should involve dropping basically 120 handles at the moment, although obviously it's a moving target. So, and I'm concerned on Qs as well, that again, this is a very, very nice looking head and shoulder pattern here, although we probably lost that this morning, but again, it's a very nice looking wedge. So I'm concerned, obviously, that we may hit to wedge support and then may do a retracement and so on. So in terms of Dia, we've gone through the obvious first trend line. I don't really have a good second one at the moment, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. I just can't see it yet. In terms of the bands, we've been going up slowly enough the last couple of days that SPX has been moving away from the 3SD upper band, or at least the 3SD upper band have been moving away from SPX. No current divergence, looking obviously kind of nosebleed levels on the RSI 5 here, but that doesn't mean we need to turn right now. We've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing on the hourly chart, which is looking very nice. On the Qs, we are again obviously looking a little overbought short term, but can go higher. On the hourly chart, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and we've got another one brewing on Dia. So waiting to see. We are very, very close. At the high yesterday on Dia, we'd reached 445.97, and the all-time high is at 447. That is very, very close indeed, and I'm thinking we'll either do that today or or Monday. We shall see. Right, let's have a look at IWM. Okay, IWM, this has been going slow, but nonetheless, we're making progress. We've gone through the first obvious wedge resistance trend line, but the obvious and nice wedge resistance trend line that I'm watching is actually this one here, with resistance up in about the 225, 226 area at the moment. That is the obvious next target. On the bigger picture, we've got possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing on the hourly chart, but we may well lose that divergence today. We've got on the daily chart, obviously we've got this nice looking IHS which is broken up with a target at a retest of the high at 24304, and it's making good progress. This was the initial break up, we came down, we have made a newer high with confidence. This is still on track. I like it. So it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to make target, but it's nice. But obviously I would like it to make target. If we're heading up to this trend line here, this is actually, that's at about 226.5 error at the moment, I think. But this gives us an opportunity to basically be producing a pattern in which we could retest the all-time high, and that is what I would like to see. All right, looking at DAX, back tested the daily middle band, obvious area to find support if we're going to. A break back down could fail those inverted head and shoulder patterns on DAX and ESTX, so I'd prefer not to see that. On Nikkei, this I was calling this as a likely bull flag, and we've made it over halfway to the target. We're seeing a bit of a pullback here, but really I'm liking the retest of 42.4. And obviously in terms of the bullish stats, we've got 2 bearish days in the remainder of July. We have one on Monday the 21st, and we have another one on Tuesday the 29th. The rest of them tend to lean bullish. So if we are going to go and do this bullish move here, this is the obvious place to do that. So we'll see. All right, DAX, DX. DX, I'm going to use this as a chart of the day today because I was having a very careful look at this yesterday, and bear with me a moment. And we have touched this megaphone support trend line here. So I called this on 2nd of October 2022, but I mean, it's taken almost 3 years to get there. That is not unusual on big moves on the dollar. But we've got a huge inflection point here, obviously. This is the very obvious point to turn back up if we are going to turn back up, and this flag is going to play out. So we're at a big inflection point here. In terms of monthly, we don't have any divergence. We've got these very good divergence on the RSI 5. We would need, if we don't rally somewhat today, we're probably going to lose this RSI 14 positive divergence on the weekly chart, but we've got a very nice RSI 5 divergence, and we also now got a possible RSI 5 daily buy signal brewing. This is looking pretty nice. This is the obvious place to turn back up, and I'm thinking we may well turn back up. Or at least that is the lean that the pattern setup has. So we'll see how that develops. All right, let's have a look at ZB. ZB, we're seeing a breakdown at the moment. Now, I was saying on the bigger picture last night that we need to see the monthly pivot break and convert, but this looks like a bear flag. It looks like that on TNX. Sorry, it looks like that on TLT as well, and the inverse looks pretty damn good on TNX. I am liking this. We've actually got a supporting RSI 5 buy signal fixed on TNX. I'm liking this for a retest of this low, and actually it does look as though the big seriously ugly bill might pass today, and that's likely to be bad for bonds. So this is the obvious time to be heading back down. Although if it actually doesn't pass, then obviously that might actually just push us straight back up into the highs. But I would be guessing that the big beautiful bill is not going to be good for bonds. And really it shouldn't be. CL could be a bear flag here. Keeping an open mind. We're back testing the monthly pivot at the moment. I would like to see that hold. Hey, Joe, we actually had a sell signal, and that failed while we were doing basically a 50% retracement, which is the strongest one we've seen on any of the oil so far. We've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing now. Obviously, the last week one failed. I'm thinking this may well go back and retest the low. RBOB, not quite sure what's happening on a short-term pattern here, but we've seen obviously a bit of retracement after this move down. No current divergence, waiting to see. NG, now I'm watching this with great interest here because obviously we had this big megaphone and it broke down. It made the target at a retest of this low. But while we've been doing that, we formed this actually pretty nice looking falling wedge here, and that's broken up. We've got a potential little double bottom here. If we see a sustained break up over the monthly pivot, then we could see a return almost to a retest of this high here. I'm not seeing any strong reason to think that's going to happen, but I think the monthly pivot will call it. Breaking convert the monthly monthly pivot. Obviously, the weekly pivot is only the weekly pivot for today, but breaking convert the monthly pivot hard, and the way is open to go back and retest this high, and it's possible that we'll do that. GC, I am wondering about some retracement here, not so much because of what I'm seeing on the GC chart, although there is an obvious setup to come back and retest this low. On SI, we've got a possible level top here, which broke down, but has done absolutely nothing since. That was like a week ago. And we've also got this very nice looking 4-touch support trend line on silver, which may well hold. If it doesn't hold, though, not really seeing head and shoulders here, but where I am seeing decent patterns is palladium, where we've got this very nice looking double top setting up to move into about the 1030 area, and platinum, where we've got this very nice setup, which would be looking for a move down into about the 1220 area. And these both look as though they may well have a shot. HG, we've got a little double top here. It's part of a possible larger double top. If we don't, I think I've got to retest the all-time high at about 5.36. We're getting pretty close to that, and it may be that it's going to need a retest. We shall see. All right, KC, this little falling wedge here, not sure about this megaphone here. This doesn't look like a bullish underthrow, but it doesn't mean there isn't another trend line here waiting to reveal itself. But I can't actually see any obvious options at the moment. We've got a 6-minute buy signal fixed. That hasn't failed, and we're getting pretty close to the wedge resistance, and that could break up in the short term. SB, I was talking about this yesterday and saying that we now had a really nice looking another really nice looking megaphone support trend line here, and that had a good shot at holding. I was talking about the possible double bottom here, and that double bottom has broken up. The 6-minute buy signal that was brewing has fixed, and this has a target up in about the 1640 to 50 area. The obvious next trend line target, though, is up here, basically at a test of the month pivot at 1662 at the moment. On CC, this is retested the low. I was talking about possible continuation lower here, and that's what I'm leaning towards. So that might actually start putting a pattern together for us, because I think we might have a decent resistance trend line. However, short term, this could still be the second low of a double bottom. This needs to continue down. On CT, we've still got a possible head and shoulders forming here, looking less convincing because we've spent so long forming the right shoulder, but this could be setting up a retest of this low. On lumber, we've got a nice looking bear flag megaphone, and it's got inbuilt, we've got a potential level top here. So if we see a break below this support here in about the 607 area, and then a break below, well, no, more like 609, and then a break below this double top support in the 604 area, this could be setting up a retest of this low here. Looking at ZW, we had a nice move up yesterday. Obviously, far more than made the double top target, no current negative divergence. On corn, we've got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed, and we've broken up for a double bottom where we've reached the first of the two targets already in the 440 area, although there is a pretty obvious target back up at a resistance trend line in the 442.5 area. On soy, we've got a double bottom that is broken up here too. We've also got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing here, and we've got a target up in about the 1064 area. On ZL, we've got no current negative divergence. Obviously, we more than made the IHS target. This could be the beginning of a larger break on grain, so I'm watching this with interest. Live cattle, still got a possible IHS forming here, and lean hogs, we have a head and shoulders, which is trying to break down with a target in the 103 area, but isn't showing much enthusiasm about getting there at the moment. All right, let's have a look at on IWM daily. If you take the last three tops as resistance, do we have a channel with the last two lows? Hang on, wait a second, let's have a look. What sort of time scale are you looking at? I assume you're talking about the bigger picture. Hang on. No, I'm not really seeing three tops there. This could be a channel, last two tops maybe, but it wouldn't be a decent one. It would be more of a wedge if we saw one, but in all honesty, I don't think it's a pattern. But we really need to take this trend line from here. Well, obviously that wouldn't be a channel. Not really. It's not something. It's not something I'm seeing there. I'd be leaning towards this being the second high of a double top, very possibly. Oh yeah, it's all right. No worries. But if I'd be leaning towards this being the second high of a double top, if we do get there, I think there's limited upside in this market, and I think we may be seeing a lot of that in the near future. But I'm liking the trend up at the moment, and I'd really love to see a retest of this all-time high on IWM. We've got a nice pattern set up to get there, and at the moment, it's performing. This is a nice break up over the monthly middle band. This is delivering the goods. That could fail at any time. I think economic policy is bad, and we've got trouble ahead. But I don't think that trouble starts yet. We're still in a complacency potential bull zone, and I think we may well deliver on that. All right, great. Anyway, have a wonderful July the 4th and a brilliant weekend. All right, cheers, guys. Catch you later, and see you Monday.